What's up, everybody? It's Justin Hausner. Welcome to the second episode of the Director's Cut. I am excited to welcome my guests this week from Long Island Kayak Bass Fishing. I got Anthony, Rich, and Mark, three tournament directors from a great organization down in Long Island. Let's talk. Hey guys, Justin with NYKBF, featuring the Neck Tournament Trail in our series. Ooh. What's up, guys?
What's going on, Justin? How you doing, brother?
Good. Welcome. Glad to have you guys on the Director's Cut.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Why don't we go around the horn? And any one of you guys can start. We'll just introduce yourselves and maybe your main role with the club.
All right. My name's Anthony Noda Roberta. For those that don't know me, I'm the president of LIKBF, and I also founded the club back in 2016.
My name's Rich Neri. I'm the current vice president of the club and been in the club since 2016 as well.
And I'm Mark Fainer. I've been with the club since 2017 and the tournament director.
Nice. Well, welcome all three of you. Thank you all for joining us. I know I've been trying to get you all together with me for a couple weeks now. I apologize. I had a kid.
Congratulations.
We had to push it off for a little bit, but hopefully you can understand a little bit, maybe. But
absolutely.
Yeah. I understand times three. I got three myself. So
no, he was my second, and that's enough. I don't even want to know what I would be like with a third running around already. He's not running, but nope. I don't know. Yeah. I'll call the dog number 3 and we're fine.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more, about 2016. How did Long Island Kayak Bass Fishing, how did it come to be?
Well, I guess I'll answer that question. So I've been tournament fishing for a long time. I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years, and when I moved, I didn't really fish, my whole life until I joined the Marine Corps when I was 23. Went down to Jacksonville, North Carolina. I was stationed down there. It was a big culture shock for me because I'm from New York, so I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was so bored. I was down south, and a couple guys took me fishing. And my first time out, had a great time. I caught a 5-pound bass, and I was hooked ever since then. So when I was down there, I bought a bass boat, got into tournament fishing. Then I got stationed out in San Diego. I was in California, so I fished, out there on a couple tournament trails. Came back home. I fished with Long Island Bassmasters, which is a local boat club as well. And always as a co-angler. I sold my boat before I moved back to New York. So I fished with them as a co-angler. And then I had a couple of my kids, so I took a break from fishing for a while. So I wanted to get back into it. I started fishing from the bank again. And I went to a local pond here, and I saw some guys out on kayaks. Mm-hmm. So I went home, did some research on the internet, and I was blown away by how much, of a sport it had become. I didn't even really know much about it. So I looked into it, got my first kayak, and started fishing with a buddy of mine that I work with. And we kept going out a lot and just running into people. We found out about a Facebook group called Tough Break Fishing that was on Facebook. And so I went on that group, joined that. And I asked the guy who ran the page if I could run a tournament, So me and my buddy Jason, who's no longer in the club, but we put this tournament together, and we had like 28 people show up to the first tournament. And Jeez. So it was an awesome time. It was a good success. And afterwards, everybody kept asking when we're going to do another one. So I found a spot to host a meeting, and we had 18 people show up, and we founded the club right then and there, and the rest is history. So
I love that. And then Rich and Mark, you can add on to it. Like, what attracted you guys basically from the get-go, from the beginning? I know, Mark, you said a year later, but what attracted you guys to say, I want to join this were you always in leadership, or were you, did you work your way up the ranks, kind of a thing?
So you want me to go first, Mark?
Yeah.
So I joined, I guess, in their initial season, probably within their third or fourth event.
Okay.
I had just recently started fishing. Again, I fished as a kid all my life from the bank or in a paddle boat or something like that. And then when I moved here to the island, we used to go camping a lot upstate New York in North South Lake, and we would fish, with some friends off the bank. And every time we go up there, you see everybody either in a rowboat or maybe a kayak. And we said, oh, why don't we just get a kayak and try to fish one time? And then lo and behold, I come back from camping that one time, and I then bought myself a kayak to fish out of. And I go down to Yapak Lake, and there's a gentleman pulling, going to a spot that I wanted, when I guess looked at the lake and said, I'm going to go right there first, and I'll cast over there, and maybe I'll catch something. And he pulls a 5-pound fish. So I go over there. He asked me if I could. It was Tim Bresnan, who at that was our tournament director. And I just said to him, I said, oh, yeah, just introduce myself. He goes, yeah. He goes, we just started a club. Do you like to fish? I said, oh, yeah. I used to compete when I was younger, and I had the capabilities to do so. He goes, well, now you can fish competitively if you want. So I said, oh, awesome. Went down. I met the group. My first time I met them was literally at Fort Pond, and I wound up finishing fourth. And ever since then, it's like, okay, well, that without knowing anything, let's try it. And it compete and have fun at the same time. So for me, it was perfect. It was a good fit.
Nice. What about you, Mark?
Yeah. So a year within that year of 2016, my buddy Ricky, he had joined the club the same time as they started, and he'd always come by after work and come see me at my job and be like, oh, I just, we always dreamed about tournament fishing. We always talked about it. I found this club, and they fish out of kayaks, and I'm like, kayak. I'm like, you won't catch me dead in a kayak fishing. Like, I'm a boat guy, always a boat guy. And then I heard about the Tough Break fishing group. He invited me to that. Then I found out about the tournament, and I begged and pleaded for them to allow me to fish it out of my boat. I said, I will use I'll do
We had a little back and forth, Mark.
I had everything right. I said, everything the way the kayak tournament goes.
That's funny.
Let me just do it out of my boat just so I can see if it's for me. If it's for me, I'm all in. I'll have a kayak in a week, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just couldn't get my hands on one then, but I wanted to do it so bad, just so I could see if I could hang, am I as good as I think I am thing. And after that, the rest was, from that was getting a kayak, and I've never looked back, and been in the club since. So, but I wasn't always the tournament director. I was just an angler, and our TD, who was Tim at the time, I think he had privately said something like, he would like to not have to worry about it. And I offered it to I was like, you know what, maybe I'll do it. And he was like, really? Like, you'll do it? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, he goes, thank you so much. He's like, I wouldn't feel comfortable with anybody else doing it except you. And I was like, okay. So, and
that's nice.
that's where that started. That was like 2018, 19. I started being the TD, and been with the club since, and I could not imagine my life without it.
Awesome.
Nice. Well, hey, that's always good to hear from a current TD that you'd be the only successor that you would want. That sounds great. Great. So talk about a little bit more about your geographical reach. How far do you go with your tournaments? Because I would imagine, are there a lot of areas to compete on Long Island, or do you have to go outside of Long Island?
Not really. We have basically 2 lakes on Long Island that will host us, especially at the size that we are now. We have Fort Pond, which is all the way out in Montauk, and then we have the Peconic River. So for everything else, we pretty much go off the island. We try to stay within a 2.5 hour radius, to make it, affordable for people. And it's a long day, especially going on and off the island, crossing the bridges. The traffic is ridiculous.
Oh, sure.
So we do try to do sometimes one tournament on the island, then one off the island, but we're very limited as to where we could, fish here on the island, especially at the size that we're at now.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception too. People get deterred of, where they are in the area, and that there's not a lot to fish. There's not a lot of areas to fish, but where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, I don't think 2.5 hours isn't that bad to drive for an event, and people make that work if they want to, and if they enjoy the club, which sounds like your community does, right?
Absolutely.
The challenge is, as we've grown, right, from I guess like 16 anglers to now, I think we've averaged over 40 anglers a year for the past few years. The board, we built an executive board, and then we also have a tournament board, and we did that for just separation of power, just to make things a little bit easier to manage from a judging standpoint.
Okay.
But as we've grown, in membership numbers in general, it's easy when you're 10 people get together or 15 people go fish anywhere, right? Let's go meet. But when you're trying to plan for potentially 40 guys, because as a board, you have the responsibility that everyone wants to fish, that they have the opportunity to fish and have the same type of equal playing field, right? Mm-hmm. So it's more difficult for Mark and the tournament board to figure out lakes that will accommodate up to 40 guys.
Mm.
From cost
standpoint, sure.
Travel standpoint, and then from just a competition standpoint. And that is something that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't take into account or care, for lack of better.
Yeah. We let's get into that in a little deeper in a few seconds here, but just talking a little bit more about like the grassroots, the very beginning. Let's talk a little bit more about the environment that you are trying to create when you first started. What were those first few years like? Obviously now you got a couple years under your belt and everything, but we'll talk about how it evolved. But what was the mindset when you were starting the club? Anthony, all you guys, since you were all pretty much in there since the beginning, but what was important to you to kind of relay to your first members, to your first group?
The main thing we focus on is camaraderie and learning. At our meetings, we all share information. Usually we have the top 3 guys stand up and tell how they caught their fish, kind of what they were using, give a little rundown. So we want people to come into the club, especially new anglers who are new to the sport of kayak fishing, and really grow as an angler. So that's one of our main focuses. Obviously there's competition involved, so we're all competitive, but at the end of the day, it's all about just making sure that we grow as anglers. And some of the anglers in this club, they came in not really knowing a whole lot about bass fishing, and now they're there's some serious competition in this club now. So Rich is becoming a hell of a stick. Mark, I mean, I can name a handful of others. In the beginning,
sure.
They had their set techniques that they use, and now from just talking and learning and growing. So that's basically what we're about. And then we also try to give back to the community a little bit as well. And then we also do our best to kind of interact with other clubs.
Nice. See, yeah. So we'll talk about how you evolved in what you're doing now. But would you say that you've kept that kind of mantra to today, that it's community first and competition a close 1B kind of feeling? Or
I would say so. Yeah, I would say that's the basis of our club. It's more about camaraderie. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a firm. This show is really all about what it takes to be a TD, and I am. I've been a TD myself for quite some time. I still don't consider myself an expert personally, but and I feel that the clubs that get it can ride that fine line of competition and community and create that culture that people, they're competitive day of, they want to win, they want to have that big check, of course, but at the end of the day, they're out there having a burger or a drink with their friends, maybe a complete stranger, and talking about the day on the water, what they did, how they fished, their techniques, so that they can share that feeling, hopefully down the road, and help people learn.
Absolutely.
I think that's what makes a good club, and it sounds like you guys got that, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, your location is hard. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You know, you have to travel a little bit and everything. When you said you had a great showing. I mean, what was it? You said 28 anglers at the first event you ever did?
I think it was 20. Yeah, 26 or 28. We had a decent amount. It was definitely over 20.
That's great. I mean, my first events I had 6. So I mean, that's awesome. You know, what were those first impressions that you got from those anglers that were chatting with you? Like, you know, were they excited? Were they like skeptical of like, how the heck are you going to run a trail here? You know, did you find like your kin, if you will, or your group pretty quickly?
Well, I think, you know what, we promoted it pretty well, and I think we planned that first event, and I think we put so much work into it that it was such a success that I think anglers, you know, coming off the water, they saw, you know, how the potential, you know, and I think you know, I thank everybody that chipped in to do that, because that's really what helped us found that, you know, the club become founded is you know, by that first event. So I knew we had to make a good first impression. I had a lot of experience from tournament fishing, so what works, what doesn't work from, you know, clubs that I've been in, because again, I traveled a lot, so I was in several different clubs. So I kind of had a good idea of what I wanted to do, and we just put it together really well. So I think that first event was definitely, you know, we made a good first impression, basically.
Nice.
So I think once everybody saw how that ran, then they knew, you know, the potential that we had here on Long Island.
Love it.
And I'll just add this, you know, the one part that sort of made, you know, the tournament was one thing, and that was awesome that I attended. But we still do monthly meetings, right? And that's where the social aspect of the club comes in, right? So, and that is something that Anthony has always preached when he started the club, you know, and I came on the board with that. You know, there's the social aspect of the meeting where we'll share thoughts. It'll be time for everybody to be together and not competing, right? Because there's only so much time before the tournament or after the tournament to do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
But in a non-threatening or non-competitive atmosphere, people can come in, have some laughs, and then actually talk about some serious stuff if we need to, but also have the social side of it, and be food or be it, you know, a cocktail. That's, you know, what's happening at that meeting.
Right.
I don't know if every club has that opportunity or takes advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can tell you right now they don't. But yeah, definitely, that's a great aspect of it, and I think that's what that's what gets people more invested. That's what gets people more excited about the community that they're in, is that social interaction, is that get together. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that too is when people show up to those meetings in person and stuff, we all talk, and everybody has an equal say in the club. So people, you know, could speak up and speak their mind and give their feedback. So then us as a board, we could do a better job at providing, you know, good, you know, good service for them, basically.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the evolution and the growth, you know, from the first year. I know you talked a little bit about your board structure. Can you go into a little more detail of how you guys decided to organize the club a little bit?
Yeah, well, it started with me and my buddy Jay, who started the club. We were basically running it just the two of us in the beginning. And then we had a couple bumps in the road and stuff like that, and a lot of questions being asked at the meetings and stuff like, and people wanted to know a little bit more about where the dues were going and this and that. So we were very transparent with everything. And then we just decided, you know what? I knew that in other clubs that I was in, they had a full board. In the beginning, we just weren't there. And then once we started growing, we decided, let's just start a board. We came up with a set of bylaws, and then we founded the board. And ever since the board was founded, I mean, the club's run really, really well. I mean, some of these guys, these two guys right here, I mean, these guys are like the backbone of the club. So Mark and Rich have done so much over the past couple of years that we've really, really evolved. I want to give a shout out to them both right now, because I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, it definitely takes a village. It's not a one-man show or a person show, and it should never be. That's awesome. So, I mean, are there more people that are on the board, and are there different boards, or?
We have a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer, and then our tournament director.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
tournament director, which is Mark, he runs the tournament board. So
Gotcha.
Which is basically a handful of assistant tournament directors that help me construct our schedule, go over any what do you call it, like when someone has an issue with how their fish was judged, and I pretty much give that to them. But like, okay, this was a challenge based on what merit and what do we decide, and I kind of usually take myself out of it, and I'm like a tiebreaker in a vote. I let them decide what the outcome will be, and then if I have to get involved, I get involved. I try to not be the one that drops the hammer as much because I don't like it to look like, oh well, Mark's the TD, so he made that decision. It's a board decision, and we came up with this decision based on XYZ.
Smart.
And that's what we do with that. So we build this. They help me build a schedule, like I said, and conduct the tournaments. They do what I try to get them to do, because we all fish our events too. Where we don't not fish. So
Okay.
I'm also fishing in the event that I'm running. So we try to base it off like, okay, if so and so on the tournament board is having not so much of a great day, they kind of take the reins of, okay, well, I'll take over judging and I'll get all that squared away. This way, by 2:00, we know who's going to be the winner, what the payouts are,
Right.
and how to conduct the award ceremony.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's great. I think having many hands, right, can make for light work, but it's getting those people together and getting the right people. Do you guys have, like, are there elections that you do throughout the year? Is that how it rolls?
Yes, every season, every position, all the way up to the president, is up for election. So if anybody wants to run for any of those positions, they step up, and then we have a vote. So.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
So and we talked a little bit more about we already talked about the community that you guys are building. I think it's awesome. How would you say, I know we talked a little bit about it, but your growth from the beginning to now, as far as the size of the club?
Rich, you want to answer that one, or?
Yeah, so like I said, we were about 16 people when we started in 2016. And then I guess the first 2 years we hovered around in the low 20s somewhere. And then what we did, so the challenge, right, or when I came aboard to the club, the board, was how do we get people involved, right? So I guess the story that we tell is everybody comes to the club for what they want to take out of the club. You can get whatever you want. You can get the social aspect, you can get the competitive aspect, you can get a local aspect, you can get a national aspect, because we do promote and discuss KBF greatly, and they're a big part of what and why we are. Hats off to them for helping build the sport and the whole frenzy around it, right? So we sort of capitalized on that because we used their platform. Hey, join our local club, fish our local events, and you have an opportunity to fish and get recognized on maybe a more regional or national level, right? And then, especially Mark and I, because, we and Anthony as well, we just said, how do we give more to the guys who are coming in? You got to attract them. Hence the website, hence the Facebook. If you look at our website, it's not your typical club website. It's a full-blown website that has all the bells and whistles that, to make people proud of why they do. And, obviously then the word of mouth just gets around. And I think the one thing that we have done in our growth is retaining. And that's really the big thing, right?
That's a big one.
To do is to keep people interacting all the time.
That's a huge one, is retention. So, I mean, it's always nice to get garbage. Sorry. It's always good to have, the new blood and to attract the new people. But if you just have the one and dones, it's, there's, what you got to look internally, but to keep having that retention, the crew coming back is a big deal. It speaks a lot for the club.
And to feed off of what Rich was saying with retention of our members is definitely difficult in our community on Long Island because, let's face it, we are a saltwater community.
Oh, okay.
So the
Yeah.
challenge of getting freshwater anglers to come and commit to a club like ours in this type of community is not easy.
Yeah.
So we rely on that word of mouth, Facebook, the website, and when I first joined the club,
Good point. Good
when
point.
I first joined the club, the website, I started doing web designing stuff as a teenager, just messing around, and I offered to help with that as it needed help, and my aspect and my vision of to help grow this club was I want people to look at us and go, wow, what are they doing? What is that? So when people go on Facebook or go on Google, local bass tournaments in our area, boom, likbf.com pops up, and it's like Rich said or Anthony, that's not your just your typical club website. It's
Right.
wow, this is professional. This is a whole nother level. I want to be a part of that. What are they doing?
Yeah. And have other clubs come to do their logos from you and stuff too.
And then the rest is history.
And shows and everything like that. Just have everybody come to do you.
No doubt.
So I like to ask what 2016 from now, all three of you guys, different. You got each answer, personally, your all-time favorite event that you guys have ever hosted, fished in. One, it could be one. It's fine, but your events, no, don't go national or another trail or anything like that. What was your favorite experience?
Mine was an event that we actually hosted for KBF. It was a KBF trail event, but we hosted it on the Peconic. And we had
the 2018 one, right?
The 2018, we had Ken Wood and a couple guys from Mass come down. We had some of the guys from 80K come down. And that event was just, to the T. We had awesome raffles that we had donated. We cooked we had barbecue for everybody. That event was just really well put together. And I remember Ken Wood, a couple other guys coming up to us after that event and shaking our hands and saying, this is how, you run a trail event. This is how it should be. And they just thanked us for hosting them. And it was just that event. Everybody put so much hard work into that event and making it what it was. And it was just really rewarding after that was over to just, get that feedback from those other anglers. So
I love that.
For me, that was my all-time favorite event. Just for that reason alone. So the camaraderie was awesome. We hung out for hours afterwards, just, shooting shit. And I don't know if I should have said that on here, but we had a good time. We had a good time.
we could put in a bleep.
Yeah.
You're fine. Trust me.
So for me, I guess
keep it going.
My favorite event was, we were going into, I guess, going into our third season, and Anthony was absolutely just destroying the field, right? And the one thing I was listening and learning, he used to talk his positive mental attitude, right? And that was his speech during a previous meeting, and trying to learn whatever. And we went up to Mayapack for our, I think it was May or April event, and it was a cold, drizzly morning, overcast, and I was basically surrounded by 10 different anglers. Yet in a 2-hour period, I hit the bag that basically won the tournament. Well, around me, I found whatever magic lure and magic spots that were right there while they all were around me, and it was just like a great for me personally. Yep, I can do this. And I can compete with these guys, and because they are a lot. It's not easy to compete with the club at all, and it's only gotten harder, to be honest with you.
Sure.
You can compete in this club, and I'm sure it is with other clubs as well. You're making a nice accomplishment. But that was my first win, so that's always awesome.
Yeah, sure.
But that day was special. Water, one of those days.
He's been kicking butt ever since too. He's had the past few years, Rich has had a good run. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Good for you.
My favorite, I have to agree with Anthony, was the trail that we hosted for KBF. Our second trail that we hosted. Everything that he said, between the event and how it was set up, and having all kind of like our invitational that we're putting together. It's just having all those different clubs come together from different parts of the Northeast and
Nice.
just putting the hammer down for those 8 hours and then just coming back and having a beer and a burger and having a great time. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. It's sad KBF went away from that. It was a cool way to get together and to kind of have local big tournaments.
I've been wanting to reach out to Chad about that, because he has talked about, giving more eyes on the ambassador clubs, and not really so much words, but I wanted to pitch the idea of, let the ambassador clubs do the work. Let us run the trails. If one of us wants to put our hat in that we're going to host it, let us do the footwork. You just supply the goods. Because we would love to host a trail up here. I'm sure you guys would love to host a trail. Maybe Adirondack has always put on a great trail up at Lake George, one of my favorites.
They do a great job.
One year you guys could do it. One year we could do it, or Massachusetts, whichever. I think a lot of us, the unfortunate part is that it's now spread thin and far apart, where you put in a lot of mileage to get there.
Yeah. So let's talk about actually running a club. I want to talk a little bit about the actual behind the scenes work, that you all do, and your team does, off season, behind the work, going a little bit about, the due diligence that you guys do on the off season to get ready for the season. But also, what's one thing, just one thing that all year long you just wish you could say that you just want your members, your staff to know about what it takes to be a TD?
Yeah, so there's a lot involved that I think a lot of guys.
It's a loaded question.
It's a very loaded question, and I'm going to say this lightly. I think a lot of guys take for granted that they do not understand that it's not just, let me scroll on Google and that looks like a good lake. We'll just go there. Yeah, I'll put that on Tourney X or Fishing Chaos, and I'll just make that the tournament. Yeah, everybody just show up there that day. Like, no, we're not 10 guys that tailgate and have a barbecue afterwards, or go to Texas Roadhouse afterwards and have a beer. Oh, did you catch today? Oh, yeah, you beat us today. There's more than that. It's a club as big as that we've become now. We are a legit LLC. We are a legit organization on paper. We can't just go to someone's backyard and go, yeah, we're fishing here because it's public land. No, you have to apply for a permit. You have to get approval for that permit. You have to put in, okay, what lakes are best at what times of year. My job, as my main focus as TD, is to put my anglers on the best lakes at the best times. And that's part of what my tournament board is for. And I have a guy on our tournament board. His name is Jim Johnson, who's been in the tournament field in the bass boat world his whole life. And so I bounce a lot off of him. And I go, what do you think of this lake? Is this better for, should we hit this in May, or would this be good in June? Do we want the best bags? We don't want to go there and slug 8 hours and hope to catch 2 fish because it was a bad day. We want
an event like that would turn people away so fast. I mean,
absolutely, especially back to back to back. So, for a while it was it's tough. We bounce it off, like, because there are so many lakes and that we want to do. It's like, all right, well, we want to go. Let's do Candlewood, and trying to get. And I'll give that as an example of how hard it is to get a permit to fish Candlewood Lake in May. You have a better chance of winning the lottery, because you need to put that permit in at least a year in advance to get it. And there's no problem with this, and there's no guarantee. So now, okay, we didn't get this, so what's the fallback? What's the backup plan? And then there's the of course, the setting up the platform, whether you're using Tourney X or Fishing Chaos, making all the banners, the tournament banners, presentable, the breakdowns of the tournaments appealing, to go, okay, all the information is here, this is what it is, and whatnot. And then I think, like I said in the beginning, I think a lot of it is that it's taken for granted for that. There is a lot of work that goes into this 1 8-hour event.
100%.
You nailed it, Mark. Yep, absolutely.
There's more. I mean, I can go. This is to be a 3-hour talk,
Yeah.
but
No, and you hit a nail. You hit an interesting point with the forming of the LLC. I know, NYKBF. We are in the works of becoming one, and it is something that honestly I wish, if I was getting in and I knew that, maybe 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, what have you, I saw, a future with this club, that I saw growth, that I saw, projected growth, whatever, what have you. I wish somebody said, you need to do this.
Right.
Because I for up until a few years ago, I had PayPal, right, which we all do. I had it in my own name.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I had Uncle Sam came knocking on my door, for 2 years prior PayPal account, saying that I owed, 12 grand in taxes. And, of course, I said, I'm still battling it, really. But, it's a scary thing, and people would never have done that. I'm sure more people are in that same boat, but you have to protect yourself. I mean, that stuff is in your
100%.
name.
100%, and that even
know?
goes when, like you said, the key word there, protect yourself, and that's not just from stuff like that, but if something happens at the event, it's our job to make sure we have insurance.
100%.
Thank God, KBF gives us, I think it's 500,000 in
Yep.
insurance, and we have our own insurance to top that off. God forbid that something happens at an
Yeah.
event. It's all of our asses, and I say that not lightly. That I could, anything could happen because I accept the role as tournament director, so it is technically my event that I organize. If something goes wrong, I could be in real big trouble.
I mean, we start. We're both in New York. We start in April. I mean, it's cold in April. I mean, you have to make sure, and we have people. I want to say it was a year or so, 2 years ago, maybe. We had somebody that was out in March. Brand new member, got a new kayak, went out and fished by himself on a lake in March, and flipped his kayak, and luckily paddled or swam to shore and got in, randomly knocked on somebody's house before he had hypothermia. But I mean, you have to, this is a community, and you have to look out for people. And I mean, I'm not putting anybody down, but it's different. I mean, I know it's different up here.
In a world of lawyers and lawsuits, you have to protect yourself.
A lot of work, yeah.
And I know you got down south, you're battling different elements. I know you got animals in that water that you are not the alpha, in some of those waters that you fish. But I don't know. Give me those over hypothermia. I don't know. It's scary.
Yeah.
You have to look out for your community, but you have to look out for yourself too, because
I'll take a snake and an alligator over hypothermia any day.
You're not kidding.
But yeah, we did everything by the book from the beginning. We got the LLC. We're official non-for-profit. It's a good thing to do too, because it gives you a lot of benefits. Like, we just hosted our awards dinner, and we got the venue for free because we hosted it at a VFW, and so I
love that.
Being in a non-for-profit organization, we gave them our paperwork, so it has its benefits if you look into it. But,
it's amazing. It has great benefits. It's just one of those things that it's like you kick yourself because you're like, why didn't I do this 5 years ago? So it's something that I'm glad you guys brought up a little bit, because I think a new tournament director, fresh out in the boat, that's looking to grow, you got to start thinking about it. I mean, Be smart about this, grassroots local club that you're working on building, because it'll grow fast, and you got to do it right.
You got to do it right. Yep, we do our taxes every year. We got, our treasurer. He's very thorough. He owns his own business, so he uses, I think, QuickBooks. So everything is all our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. So everybody works. These guys work really hard. It's legit like a full-time job. I mean, when I'm at work, I got to snooze my phone because there's constantly business going on for LIKBF. So legit, it's another full-time job.
I know that. And yeah, it's 100%. You always got to kind of keep your head on your swivel and look at your text messages, look at your Facebook Messenger, say, all right, yeah, I can respond to that later. You know, but yeah, that's great. So let's talk a little bit. You guys said that you give back, which is really great. What are some charitable initiatives that you guys support through your club?
So I'll handle that for you. And
Yeah, I'm sorry, brother.
came on the board besides, trying just to add some structure and stuff. You always try to find something to keep people involved, right? And I think because we're, a club that's out in the water, we need to give something back, right? In the beginning, to collect money or parts of our dues or something, and we would donate to St. Jude's, right?
Okay.
St. Jude's, and that's wonderful, right? And it's great, but it's not really benefiting the environment or even our sport per se, right?
Mm.
So about 2 years ago, I started talking about giving back to the fishing community and preached to the guys in the club about doing a lake initiative. We don't have many lakes here on the island that are great, and I've heard stories about these lakes producing 6-7 pound fish, which now if you catch a 2-3 pound fish, you had a really good day out there. So instead, we were proud to announce that we got a 5-year stocking permit from the New York DEC, stock two of the lakes that we fish, actually, one of our tournaments. And we've raised over $3,000 currently, and we'll do our first initial stocking of those lakes this spring.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I think, it's part of, making it a full circle, right? We want to take advantage of our fisheries, but you got to take care of them. Mm-hmm. So we can, do a stocking program or a plenish, however you want to call it, right? Just put some fish back in there because here are a lot of people, unfortunately, who take fish out, right? And don't do the right thing. We're catch and release. So, but some eat them and that's fine. But we need to make our lakes healthy so that people after us can come and continue fishing like we are.
Yeah.
So that started in 2020 when we started raising money, and finally this year we finally got a order in place, and it should be delivered hopefully sometime this spring.
I love that. I'm not putting anybody down or anything like that, but that's always something that really excited me about kayak fishing in general, was that catch, photo, release kind of conservation aspect of the sport. It's just and again, I know, there's nothing wrong with bass boating. 99% of the time everything's great and all the fish go back, fine. But I know there was one, it only takes one time, and I remember, I think it was bass, or it was a big trail event at Cayuga Lake, which is right around the corner from me. Didn't bubble their tanks or what have you. I don't know, but all the fish that they put back in Cayuga ended up dying on the shores when they put them back, and it's just heartbreaking. And it was really exciting to me that you'll never have that issue with a kayak fishing event. You're always leaving, and you guys are going to the nth degree, which is amazing. You're leaving your bodies of water better than you got them. And I that's very admirable.
And then the other thing we try to do at least once a year, at least we've done it on the Peconic, is done a day where we go and do a cleanup, be it on the water, right? Mm-hmm. So we've done that as well for the make it. Obviously it benefits us, right? But it benefits the lake as well.
It benefits so many more than you, though. It's just it benefits you, but so many more too. That's awesome. That's great. So let's talk. Let's highlight you guys a little bit. Where can somebody that doesn't know you find you online? Where do you want to send people?
Yeah, Marky Mark.
For Long Island Kayak Bass Fishing, we have a website. That's at www.likbf.com. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. You can just type in Long Island Kayak Bass Fishing, and we should pop up. Yeah, that's our 23 schedule. for this year. Still working out some kinks with some permits, but we have
Yeah.
host multiple opens, and that's where we try to gauge our new membership, because we like to meet our new members before we officially let them join the club, and just to get to know them and just kind of gauge what kind of person they are. And
I
if they
like it. A honeymoon process. I get it. I like it.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking over. I like this right here. Look at that. Ooh, I like those last two. We can talk
I
about them.
couldn't wait to put that on there.
I'm excited about those. I'm excited to talk about that. But I mean, you guys have quite a bit of events. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
We run multiple different series, multiple opens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
we run seven elite series, and it's your best five count to your AOY. So
Okay.
you drop two of those, and then we do for our TOC we do a spring fling, and always did a fall brawl, which now is going to change to the SummerSlam. Our qualifying events to get into that. Um,
Okay.
we have an elimination series that's not on the schedule. It's just a separate event that runs all season long, and it's a bracket style 1-on-1 month to month elimination, and the last man standing wins. We offer all kinds of different types of tournaments that for the angler. You know, they might not be the traveling types, and they can do the elimination, or they can do our challenge series, which is a year long 5 fish any public water tournament.
Nice. Nice.
But
So I want to make sure everybody knows how to find you. I don't want to cut you off on that at all.
yep, that's fine.
I had this queued up and I wanted to show it. Looks like you got Facebook and YouTube and Instagram up there, which is awesome. So make sure you guys go and check them out on socials. But I want to know, while this is up, the three of you guys, which one are you guys? And I know all of you guys are going to say the Invitational. We can talk about that later. But which one? I'm just joking. But which one are you guys most excited about? I know they're all special in their own way, but which one stands in your mind of like, I cannot wait for that one?
I'm going to go with the very first Elite Series at Squance, because we have never fished that lake in May. We've always fished that in August. That's just how it always worked out. So to kick the season off, I'm really looking forward to that first event.
and
I was going to say the same thing. I've always wanted to.
Anthony's saying this is the first time I'm looking at it.
No, I was gonna say I mean the Peconic I like because I usually do good there. You know, I've won there a lot of the tournaments in this club I've won on the Peconic, so it's definitely
Okay.
it plays into my style.
Oh, good for you! And you got multiple on there, huh?
Yeah,
That's a coincidence, right?
right. I had nothing to do with the schedule. I'm just fishing it. But
Just
Squance,
joking.
I mean, Squance that time of year could be lights out. It's one of the arms of Candlewood Lake, so smallmouth
Okay.
fishing. I mean, I love fishing smallies, so that one actually was standing out to me. Plus, the first event is always the most exciting. You know, the first points event, everybody's all pumped up, and that's where you really could get your season off and rolling. So, I always get excited about the first event.
I love it. I can do
so
that.
for me, it's all about fishing new water.
Mhm.
The way I became, I guess, a better angler was just challenging myself to fish waters I'd never fished, right? Or techniques I didn't know. So I'm looking forward to actually Bantam to see what that lake has to offer.
Which one? Bantam?
Bantam, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. What is it? I don't. I'm excited. I love that you guys have it broken down into different actual series. It's pretty sweet. Oh.
Yeah, and then Mark last year had a brainchild, and we had a good, I think, reaction. So it's during our regular elite series for AOI, at least the first 5 or 6 events. So it is a little bit of where you can share some information, prior to the event. It's not much going on the water. At least it wasn't for Mark and I when we were teammates last year. But definitely before and after, sharing just thoughts and how to become a better angler and what we saw and what we did.
Mm-hmm.
So again, another way to help people become better. There's technique that he knows that I don't know, and vice versa, and to help him add that camaraderie or make the club more social.
Nice. So scrolling down on this page, I know I see a lot of great sponsors and companies that you guys partner with. Is there anybody that you want to make sure that you guys give a shout out to on here, that their partnership makes your trail as great as it is? I know they're all amazing. I know that, and you can say that. You can list them all if you want. That's fine too. But
Really, my baby, because it's what I sort of do in the backside. I'm the guy who's contacting all these guys to try to get it. So I have to really shout Ego and Yak Attack because they've been with us from the beginning.
Who? Say it again.
Ego and Yak Attack, they have been, and they have done such a great job supporting us and giving us, additional stuff to give to our anglers, and obviously besides the product and services that they provide to the community in general. But this year specifically, we met with Stormy down in, and Dakota came aboard late last year, and this year stepped up big, and they're going to be our main sponsor for 2023. So nice. I shout out to him and thank you for what he's done for the community and obviously for us in 2020. We're looking forward to it.
Nice. Yeah. Dakota's been a great advocate for kayak fishing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
That's awesome.
What's that? It would have been nicer to beat their team in nationals, but
I don't know. They had a pretty stacked team.
Can't have everything, Rich.
To be close, I think, is an accomplishment.
We don't want to beat our sponsors up too big.
Hey, we let them. The one LIKBF team let them know that just because we're from Long Island don't mean we don't know how to fish. We raised an eyebrow.
Awesome.
Who are these?
Yeah, who are these guys?
So, guys, awesome talking to you. Thank you so much. I want to kind of finish up with each one of you kind of answering this question. Just think, what is your favorite thing about being a TD?
Favorite thing about being a TD?
All-time favorite thing.
I guess doing all the work per se, not just me, not saying like that to me, just saying just doing that work of putting it together and seeing it come to life and actually run smoothly, and go, just being able to step back and in the parking lot after a tournament and just look around and go, this worked out well. This was a hit or something like that.
I get that. That's nice.
And for me, I would say it's to add on to what Mark said. It's all the hard work you put into it, to see it to come to fruition and enjoy it, right? And sort of that one thank you get, right? It may be 7 guys who complain and moan and groan, but there's that one guy who truly appreciates it. And
sure.
It's all about.
Agreed.
I'd like to meet that guy. No, I'm just kidding. We have one of those in our club. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. There's a few. I'll speak for them. There's a few.
No, there's everybody. Absolutely. I guess I'll go last because as the founder of the club, just really seeing it all come together. Everything I dreamed it would be. I fell short because what I've done, what we've done is way more than I ever hoped for. And that's because of all these guys right here and all the hard work they do. And this is something I never even imagined it becoming. So I'm so proud of this club and everybody in it. And I'm looking forward to the future.
That's awesome.
And we haven't peaked yet.
No.
We're just getting started.
Just getting started.
I love it. Well, I'm excited to work with you guys this year. I know we haven't had a chance to put on a tournament together, and this invitational coming up, which people can check out on your site and on our site. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun fishing with you guys and fishing with your crew, and hopefully you don't come up and embarrass me too much. But it'll be a great time. So I'm excited to get together with you guys and everybody in New York State. So it'll be a big one.
The tournament's going to be great, but I'm really looking forward to the aftermath of it. The meet, the get together, the announcing of the winners, all the sponsors that are going to be there. Dakota Lithium, who you have Douglas Rods, And
Yep.
which cooler? I apologize.
Yeah, no. So we have so right now the Dakota Lithium, Douglas Rods, and Orion Coolers
Orion
have
Coolers.
signed on as a main sponsor for the event, and we're gonna be getting more. So for those that you don't know, we're working together. NYKBF, KBF, and
South New York.
Yeah, multiple
York.
other tournament trails, almost all of them in New York State are coming together at the end of the season, bringing all of their Angler of the Year's top 10 in their race for just a fun end of almost the end of the season, because you guys have another event the next day, so that's cool too. But just for a fun kind of to crown the king and queen of New York kind of a thing, and it's gonna be a fun event that's gonna turn some heads. I think I'm really excited about getting together with everybody and kind of growing those relationships.
It could just open up so many doors for future different ideas and events for all of us to come together. You know, when none of us are able to predict the future or what the future holds for each of our clubs, you know, maybe there's a day where all of us combine and come together. You know, you never know. I mean, that's a pipe dream of mine, to be honest with you. I would love to see all of us come together as one entity one day.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Yeah. So awesome talking to you guys. Thank you so much. Any shout outs that you guys want to give to, other more sponsors on the trail, or, personal sponsors or anybody that helps you out throughout the year?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to shout out, my board and all the guys that work so hard in the club. Definitely all of our sponsors, and then all the other local clubs as well, that have participated with us so far. We're looking forward to that event at the end of the season. So, and shout out to my wife who lets me do all the damn fishing.
No
Without
kidding,
her, I
yeah.
wouldn't even be able to get on the water. So
That was going to be my our family to allow us to do what we do. Go fishing.
Smart. It's taxing. It's taxing.
Yeah. Especially when you have kids. It's not easy.
No doubt. Agreed.
Awesome, guys. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for teaching me about your club, and looking forward to seeing you guys on the water.
Thank you, man. This is awesome. Let's do it again.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.